Hello guys, this is a review of the movie Gia. This is a biopic on the life of the real-life supermodel Gia Carangi. I didn't check how much the movie or how accurately the movie depicts the real life of Gia, but I think the main events, the most tragic events, and the things that led to her downfall are pretty close. Um, but like I said, I haven't checked. Um, So Gia was brought up in an abusive household. I think I read somewhere that she was victim of sexual abuse also at a very young age. I'm not sure though. It doesn't show that in the movie. Only her when she was young, played by Mila Kunis. Actually, very fun treat. She's seeing like her parents argue and be very abusive with each other. And she grows up, is played by Angelina Jolie, of course. And she's from Philadelphia. She gets recognized by a photographer or something like that. She gets started in the modeling industry. She rises to the very top. Her image was not um what magazines were looking for at the time, or I guess they were looking for it, but they were not hiring models that look like that. It takes one person, one individual that's different, and the positive response from the people for employers of within all walks of life to actually realize, hey, we could really profit from this image, from this service, whatever it is that you wouldn't have otherwise considered, if it makes any sense. So Gia was that for the modeling industry. Like I said, she rises to the top. She's very successful. Everybody wants to book her. Her manager, played by Faye Dunaway, if I'm not mistaken, uh, she gets sick. And at this point in the movie, like, they're very close. There's so many things going on in this movie that I could go scene by scene by scene, but I think it's more important to just get the whole cake. Instead of slicing it and telling you every single thing like I usually do, I'm gonna try and avoid that so I could get into my opinions about the film instead. So she gets sick, and at this point, Gia's like abusing drugs, but she feels, I guess, hope, and it's like, oh, maybe together we're going to do this together. That's what her manager says, but then she dies, so she freaks. She has uh well, I was gonna say like a mental episode, but of course everybody's going to grieve, but she grieves with drugs which affect her clearly, and she becomes dependent. She's like injects herself so much that she has like this very nasty like open hole. She consumes everything. Like, she starts off like, okay, just mild things, but then she increases and increases as time goes by because the other drugs are not accessible or whatever. um at this point, nobody wants to work with her, after her being at the very top of the mountain. Now she's worn out, and it's kind of a very good representation of pop stars or any type of celebrity, where they are fed and they are nurtured and they are taken to the highest pedestal. And then once they make those slightest mistakes, like, oh, they are a hoe and they're this and they're that, so bring them down. And, like, I don't know, I guess it's very entertaining for people to watch the downfall. But in this one, um I wouldn't say it was the public who did that. I guess no one can really say, but she was having a lot of sex apparently. She was in love with this woman, but obviously she didn't want to carry with all this recklessness. She also had a lover, a male lover, and she was just partying too hard. There like comes a time in the movie where she just looks ill, like physically ill, and the doctors obviously don't know what's going on. Then they realize that it's AIDS. And at that point they didn't know what that was, because she was like, a doctor mentions, you're the first female patient with this. And obviously there was no cure. There still is no cure, but there's very effective treatment nowadays. But back then she was like one of those people that helped bring it to light. So let me just finish. She ends up dying, and like her skin, like they try to carry her in the hospital room, and her skin from her back fell off. Like we don't see that, but they tell us it's bad. The film is shot, and that's it. For like, she ends up passing away. And it's so sad. Oh, what was I gonna say? I just got flashbacks. This movie, no lie, is really, really, really sad. I was watching it with my mama. I've already watched it a couple of times, and I really like it. And we had planned, like, to watch other movies, but and we did, but I really wasn't feeling it because this movie is one of those where I would recommend that it's either the last one that you watch, or just one that you watch by yourself before going to sleep, or if you have time to cry. I don't know what you prefer, because this is really, really emotional. If you're a person that can identify with this character, for example, she seemed to be, Gia, very dependent on other people, too much. And not necessarily their money, because she ended up making a lot more money than the people she was around with. The people that she was around with, whom she was around, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. But she wanted, or she felt like she needed their love, their attention, their care at one point. Oh yeah, I was saying that this movie is shot like documentary style, so they have like the interviews of the people closer, like her mom and stuff like that, people that she worked with, people that she loved, and then they show us the scenes. And they mentioned that she was like a puppy, like, love me, like, don't leave. And she clearly, um she verbally, like, states, don't leave me, I need you, I need somebody to look after me. But she, she's as a grown woman, and other people have other responsibilities, so she has a lot of meltdowns every time people in her life tell her that they have to go do something else. She doesn't like that, she doesn't take well to that. I remember the first time that I watched the film, I was really angry at the mom. I'm not that angry at the mom anymore. um like, well, I can't say that I'm angry at the mom because I don't know her, but I'm angry that she didn't try enough to save her daughter, because she had another marriage and she had like other responsibilities. Yeah, but this is like your daughter, and if this really like accurately depicts what happened, then oh, that's not good. That's not good. You should never put other people above, like, it really shouldn't be a thing of choosing, because your spouse, your partner should be there to support you. I mean, it makes sense. I know that Gia, had a troubled life, and she was like stealing and doing drugs and doing all these things. So it is a lot to deal with, and the spouse doesn't have the responsibility to do anything to help Gia. But if he loves a mom, then there should be like at least some sort of agreement where it's like, oh, you could go this amount of time, don't worry, I'm gonna be fine, you take care of her, I just don't want her here, that type of thing. It really sucks. um and I think it really hits hard with me, because I was naturally born with this. I don't know if naturally or by nurture, but as a kid, I was a very needy kid. I was not the type of kid that was like, hey, can we go to the mall, daddy? And it's like, no. And I'm like, okay, no. I would be like, because for I'm gonna get to specifics. My dad is the type of person that doesn't say no, very frequently. He says later, later. Okay, yeah, later, later. So for me, I understand later as in later, in a few minutes, in a few hours, whatever. So I would always be like, okay, okay, look what I did. Look at the book. Look at the book. Yeah, I'm looking. Look at the book. Look at the book. Look at what I wrote. Look at what I drew. Look at what I did. Look, like Stuart from Matt TV. Is it Matt TV? He's like, look what I can do. That's the type of person that I was. I liked having people's attention, people that that I loved, like aunts, uncles, grandparents, like just look at me, love me, be with me, don't leave. I would be the type of kid to cry if I woke up and my mom wasn't there. That's very typical, but I was like a very scared child, which is ironic now that I have a whole like DVD collection and the majority of them are horror movies, but that's besides the point. The point is that I really identify with her, even being older and having all this trauma, which I can clearly say it was trauma for me, and kind of made me into a person that prefers to do things by himself. Like, if it's just like I've been doing a lot of growth, but this isn't about me. The point is that that's one of the main things that I click with, that I identify with Gia. She um she lived such a tough life, and you could imagine like having sex and like doing drugs and doing all these things and not knowing necessarily how bad these things are. Like the drugs is probably obvious, I would say, because even at that point in time, I think parents would be like, don't do it. I know there was like a lot of like the whole hippie movement, like, yeah, let's do weed and that, but that's the whole different thing. You could say like as a Christian or whatever, that is wrong, drugs are bad. But if you think about it, if you educate yourself, or maybe it wasn't accessible there, but then I mean, but it's still something where you could see a person still be themselves, just with the mild effects on them. But like with heavy drugs like heroin and stuff like that, then you know that these things are just beyond um helping you feel good and relaxing you or whatever it is that you're looking for. I don't really know, I don't do drugs, but uh it's just common sense. And I don't want to be the type of person that points a finger and is like, yeah, you do drugs, you're a bad person. Like, no, you're not a bad person, but you're a hurt person, and you're a person that is choosing to um cope with your problems in a very inefficient way, and potentially um life-threatening way. And that's not good. And it's not easy, like I said. I can't, like, really, a lot of people are like, oh, they do drugs, or they're like, look at the homeless people doing drugs. Like, you don't get there like just like one day the boss tells you you're fired and you're like, okay, let me go do it. It's a whole series of events, of emotional burden that you carry with you, this huge backpack of doubt and hate and lack of motivation, lack of help. um so I'm not here to judge. I really, really sympathize with Gia and anyone going through this, but I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, yeah, it could happen. No. If there's someone watching thinking about doing very heavy drugs, unless you're in like this experiment with doctors, or you want to be like a lab rat, I'm sorry. But like, you have supervision, you're like filming whatever documentary about the effects of drugs, and there are licensed like professionals, like doctors, nurses, people who could help you, who know what's going to happen to you and know how to react should something unexpected occur. Then go ahead, you're in a controlled environment with professionals. But if you're not in that environment and you're doing this for, like I said, to help cope with the evil in the world, the evil in your head, then this is not the way. I'm here to tell you honestly, don't do it, because you might become addicted, and even if you don't become addicted, you might overdose. There's so many things that could happen. You might get taken advantage of. And like they might rob you, they might kill you, they might rape you, a lot of things could happen. So this is just not the right thing to do. And by I use the word right because it's unhealthy and threatening to your life and your body and your state of your emotional state. That's why I say it's not right. And if you are already in that hole, then more power to you. If you and when you decide to get out of that hole, you will, because you are in control. Know that it's going to be hard, but it's possible. I hear stories every day. People can do it. And I went so, into that because that's what this movie's about. I think this movie serves as a warning statement for everyone. You have no idea how I feel seeing such an innocent person. She wasn't like harming people. I mean, near the end she was being kind of a douche to people, but it's all of these things compiled together. But she was a pure spirit. She seemed to be you know damaged and just working her way through life as we all are. Didn't deserve this nonsense. um so many bad things happen to her. It's crazy. And um there's a lot of quotes in the movie that she said and that I think she said in real life, because before doing this review I watched a YouTube video of an interview that I had already watched, sorry, um with Gia, and they do say a lot of the things that she said, word for word. And I can't remember, there's like the one that they show in the end, which I love, and I but I forgot what it was. But it's not just one, it's a lot of them. um it's sad that these things have to happen, but like I said, movies like these open your eyes up to the real world, to the real consequences. Not everything is, sparkly and ooh, look at the beautiful lights and Hollywood. That's um what is it called when you're in the desert and you see like water, but it's not really there? I think mirage. I forgot. It's because I confuse it because I know the word in Portuguese and I know the word only in Portuguese because there's a song, but that's besides the point. There's a different thing. Um, yeah, I guess that's it for this one. The acting was amazing. I like it says here it was um Angelina Jolie won a Golden Globe for her performance in this movie. Very well deserved. Does she look like Gia Carangi? No, but sometimes it's not really about how you look, but rather how you um, embrace a character and live. Learn to adapt to live like they would. At least for the time that they're rolling. Obviously, not in your real life unless you're a method actor, but whatever. It was really good. Very well written. I liked it. If they have the interviews with the people involved, I think it would have been a real treat to actually have the real interviews, the real people. But I think that that's so hard to do, and then to have them look like that and then look different in like the actual movie, then I it'd be a, I don't know. But I liked everything, honestly. I would change a few things, but there's not a lot of my opinion that is actually valid in this case because I didn't know Gia, so I don't know if it would be more accurate or less accurate. Um, but overall, it was great. Like I said, this movie has a lot of sex scenes, so if you are underage, it's probably not for you. They have they hired some very attractive actors and actresses. I'm gonna just say that, which doesn't hurt. But the movie, this isn't like, well, I don't want to bash another movie, but this isn't about the sexual appeal. it's about the message, and you just have that on top of it. I mean, it does have a lot of, you know, the vanity and the beauty, because as a supermodel you have to have beauty, um, or, you know, the conventional beauty standards. But the movie doesn't go into that, you know. It isn't about like the rise of the model, wow, and that's how it ends. No, this is about the rise and downfall of the model. So it's a drama film, a very serious one in my opinion. I liked it, I enjoyed it. It's very I can't say it enough. It's sad. It's really, really sad. It sucks that I wasn't able to cry it out, because once you lose a feeling, you just lose it forever. But I'm sure to watch it again and then give myself the privacy and the time to to just cry, because um, it cleanses your soul, and you absorb the message, I think, a little harder, which doesn't hurt. So, you know, bless her wherever she is. She wasn't here, you know, just walking um, without a purpose, or she actually left us a very, very valuable lesson. She didn't have to die to teach us this, but sometimes in life these things happen and you could get something positive from it. This is something positive. So I really recommend people watch this movie. If you are underage, you should watch it with your parents, because it's not appropriate for you to watch um, on your own. But yeah, my rating for this movie is, I would say, um, 9.5 out of 10 in this category. Or overall, maybe 9.5. That's it for this one. Thank you for watching.